This is lesson 4, comparing quantities with percent. The first example that we have, example A, the members of a club are making friendship bracelets to sell to raise money. Anna and Emily made 54 bracelets over the weekend. They need to produce 300 bracelets by the end of the week. What percent of the bracelets were they able to produce over the weekend? Well, using our percent formula, we have part equals percent times whole. So we have they made 54, that's our part. We need to know what percent that is out of the 300 that they need to produce. So we have P equals percent times whole. So we have 54 equals X times 300. So if we divide both sides by 300, we have X equals 0.18, which will be 18%. So now it says for B, Anna produced 32 bracelets. Of the 54 bracelets, the 54 bracelets produced by Emily and Anna over the weekend. Write the number of bracelets that Emily produced as a percent of those that Anna produced. Well, we have P, percent, and W. Now we have to think about this for a second because it says Anna produced. So here I'm going to write this over on the side. So Anna produced 32 of the 54 bracelets. And what this is asking us to do is to write the number of bracelets that Emily produced as a percent. And remember what we talked about, of those produced, those that Anna produced. So the W is the ones that Anna produced, that's 32. And we have to write it at the percent Emily produced has to be the part. Well, we got to know how many Emily produced. So to figure that out, we know Anna produced 32. Emily had to produce the 54 minus 32. So that's going to equal 22. So now we have our information for our part equals percent times whole. So now we can put that information in. So we have 22 equals X times 32. Divide both sides by 32. So X is going to equal 0.6875. Now here you don't just round, ladies and gentlemen. You move that decimal over 2 places, and my percent is 68.75%. You can have part of a percent, so that's what you leave. You don't round unless the question tells you to. So now it says write the number of bracelets that Anna produced as a percent of those that Emily produced, which means we're going to switch these numbers around. So P, percent, W. So now Anna is the part, which is 32. X is what we're finding. Emily is on the bottom. So P, percent, and W. So 32 equals X times 22. Divide both sides by 22. So X is going to equal 1.45. 45 repeating. So I'm going to move that decimal over 2 places. So it's 145.45. 0.45, repeating, percent. So next, the question is, there are 750 students in the 7th grade class and 625 students in the 8th grade class at Kent Middle School. A, it says, what percent is the 7th grade class, remember, of the 8th grade class in the middle school? So here, the 8th grade class has to be the whole. So our 8th grade class is 625. Our 7th grade class is the 750 that goes in the part, and we are looking for the percent. So we have P equals percent times whole. So we have 750 equals X times 625. Divide both sides by 625. So we have X equals 1.2, and then that will give us 120%. B says the principal will have to increase the number of 8th grade teachers next year if the 7th grade enrollment exceeds 110% of the current 8th grade enrollment. Will she need to increase the number of teachers? Explain your reasoning. Yes, because the enrollment will exceed 120% of the current 8th grade enrollment. Now, number 2 says at Kent Middle School, there are 104 students in the band and 80 students in the choir. What percent of the number of students in the choir, remember, of the students in the choir, is the number of students in the band? So you have to be careful when you're reading this, okay? So we have again, we're finding the percent, but we're finding of the students in the choir. Well, the number of students in the choir is 80. So that's going to go in the denominator. And the numerator then is going to go the students in the band, which is 104. So we have P equals percent times W. So we have 104 equals X times 80. So divide both sides by 80. So X is going to equal 1.3, which is 130%. In our last question, at Kent Middle School, breakfast cost $1.25, and lunch cost $3.75. What percent, again, of the cost of lunch is the cost of breakfast? So when we set that up, of lunch, so our lunch is $3.75. We are looking for the percent. Is the cost of breakfast, and that's $1.25. So now we have everything set. So we have P, percent, and W. So we have 1.25 equals X times 3.75. So now divide both sides by 3.75. 3.75. So now we have X equals 0.3 repeating. And remember what I said? This is one of the fractions that we are going to need to memorize. And 0.3 repeating as a percent is 33 1/3%. And that ends our lesson.